criminal, that's why. I'm sending it to you guys so that you can listen to what goes on in my life. This is all personal stuff.
Shall we talk? Shall we talk about things?
Where to begin on this? Episode 8? Episode 8.
Yeah, we're on the finale episode, and
The finale
you're
episode
right.
of the
Like
season?
where to begin?
Is that a
The
season
finale of the season.
Oh, that's what.
That's the
Okay, it
season
seemed like
finale.
it was. It seemed like it was. Why did they only have 8 episodes? Like how many
Well,
shows?
okay, so this is
24. Okay, 24 had. Well, I guess it's It's cheaper the way they shot 24. A whole lot cheaper.
I wondered the same thing, and so I went back and I looked at some other shows, and there are other shows which are also 8 episodes long for one season.
Sure.
And the one that really stuck out to me the most that I would like to spend some time just kind of doing a side-by-side analysis is The Witcher, which is on Netflix, which a lot of people know. The second season just came out apparently, and we never watched it. We decided to watch it, and we were kind of sucked in. Now, all of the gratuitous, unnecessary, nudity aside, it was riveting, it was engrossing, and it felt like and when we got to the final episode, which was also the 8th episode, it didn't feel contrived, and it didn't feel like it was forced. It felt like it was earned. The ending was satisfying. I did not feel like the ending was satifying in The Wheel of Time. I felt like it was rushed on multiple levels, right?
Yeah.
But I felt like the journey, it was all about the journey in The Witcher and the journey of these characters. And so when it ended, maybe we should do a spoiler alert, okay? I don't know if I'll give a spoiler, but it ended with a very satisfying way, to me at least, that the characters finally united, came together, and that was the climax. It was a very simple, climax. It wasn't this massive, crazy thing. It was these two characters coming together and embracing, and that was the very rewarding and very earned and very satisfying ending. And I did not feel that at all in The Wheel of Time. It did not feel earned yet again.
Let's go over the points that made it to where it was not earned. Okay.
Please.
Okay.
Please.
I want to start off. I took notes this time because I was just like, in fact, at the end of this one, spoiler alert for me on how I felt. You might have guessed it, but I was like, I don't think I can watch another one. Like, I don't think it's worth it to me to see what they've done and to be like, what the fuck? I was editing it for everyone.
What the fuck?
Okay. So they show the Louis Theron, and according to the book, at this time, he says, I'm going to go with the people, and I'm going to go basically seal the dark prison and get rid of the dark one forever. That was the whole thing. Like, that is that final scene.
Yep.
And then you look outside and you see this metropolis, this beautiful flying machines and stuff like that. Okay. This is where I feel like they went wrong again. And the reason why is, before they even went to that point, the whole land, everyone was in turmoil. It was already like, cities were already destroyed. Cities were, it was just a wreck. And this is their final, this is what we're going to take them out. It was not a pretty state.
Yeah.
Years before that, before it had gotten to this point, yes, it was beautiful. It was verdant. It was like, they had the song and everyone was singing and there was no killing. There was nothing like that. That's fantastic. But at this point, it showed like this pristine place that was not yet it didn't show that it had gotten to that point at all. It should have been turmoil.
Like, and my wife especially was like, "What is going on? Why is this in the future?" I'm like, "No, this is in the past, but they had this future technology." But you made a very good point that no, but the point is that this is after this. This is like they're at their wits end. This is the last straw of battling the Dark One, and and I understand budget and everything, but it's just like, okay, you're talking to this one person, but there
the
needs to
budget that
be
they had.
there needs to be that sense of turmoil, but also that this is a monumental decision, and he doesn't go alone. He goes with the 100 companions, you know, to do it with the 100 most powerful male Aes Sedai to do it. It didn't feel as dire, right? It didn't feel like that the weight of the world was on their shoulders and that they were, like they felt like they had to do this or the world would fall. There just wasn't that tension and that, crisis at hand, right? It just didn't feel, again, like you had earned anything.
And it shouldn't have been just them talking. There would be yelling, because this is the end of the world. Not, oh, you guys aren't going to come. Okay, well, we're going to do it. It would be, it's like, this is the end of the world. We need you.
Yeah,
And
or if not,
no,
not yelling, then
no,
this intense tension and bottling it and barely restraining the yelling because it is so
exactly.
dire.
All right, this is something I have to get into before I go into anything else, Brian. And this is the one power and how it's being used. Okay. I cannot stand it when someone does not, when all of a sudden they just are able to do things with magic. And all of a sudden it's just like, all right, now all of a sudden we're able to heal. Now all of a sudden we're able to just link up. Now all of a sudden we have this, and I do not like the idea that just because you have so much power that you actually are going to defeat someone else. The amount of power that you have means nothing if you don't know how to use it. And
Yeah.
I do not like the characters not learning, and this is something they totally missed out on, is that them learning, and the Amyrlin coming in and meeting with Egwene and Nynaeve, and in the book they're in a boat. The Amyrlin meets Moraine and Nynaeve and Egwene. And it's not easy. You don't just grab onto the power. When they're learning how to do it, it is so difficult. And and even Nynaeve, there's the reason why she gets angry so often is so that she can grab the power. That is one of her vices. Something that, yeah, one of those things. They just missed out on that thing that made her character who she is and why she is so angry. And you can see, again, spoiler, well, this isn't a spoiler anymore because our character is not like this, but later on when she stops, when she's able to actually channel without being angry, her character finally changes. And when she finally embraces it, and that was, again, later on in the books when she does it to save Lan, and she's like, she feels hopeless, and she's like, I'm not angry, and I can't channel, and I can't save my love. But then she does, or she can't save herself, or whatever it is. But that's the whole thing, something like that. I'm botching that whole scene, but she comes out and she can't channel. But the whole idea is that
you didn't botch it any worse than they did, right?
No. Well, I didn't botch it compared to them. I've been doing it right. But the whole point is that to me, it feels cheap when someone can just, oh, okay, now I do this. Oh, because I have this idol does not mean that he knows what he's doing. And that's the thing that the Forsaken, these other things have, is that they may not be more powerful, but they know what they can do with it. And they stop Aes Sedai that are almost as powerful as them, just like that, because they know what they're doing. They have the hundreds of years of experience, and they're missing out on that. Instead, everything is about the power and how much you can flow. So I think I felt like saying that a few times ago. I think occasionally it's all right to have something like when Nynaeve heals everyone for Lan. Again, I think that her connection with Lan at that point was really dumb. It's like, oh, I love this guy so much. It would have been way more meaningful for her to do it for the boys or for Egwene or for someone like that who she has a deep connection with. Which again, their connections with each other are just like it's like a fairy tale. I'm
Oh, you're
reverting
talking
to.
about Egwene being able to heal 90,
I'm just talking about
right?
all of it. But Egwene being able to heal
Sure.
Nynaeve when she's not even trying, when she's just sitting there, and all of a sudden the magic comes out of her, the channeling comes out of her, and she's
Yeah.
just holding her.
Yeah.
Where it's not like she's not trying. Nynaeve, the beautiful thing about her problem in the book is that she can channel and she can heal and she can do things, but only at certain points. Like when Egwene first lights the fire, I guess that was their subtle way of doing it when she did that in book 2, or I mean in episode 2, or episode 3, I can't remember. Or when
Well, and oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I think you're absolutely right. I think that the problem is that in the past, right, you've had these very minor things, like if she started the fire, right, and then you have the part where she, the leader of the White Cloaks, torturing Perrin, and
yeah,
then she's able to do this tiny little, like nothing, and he's like, oh, I would have expected more, or whatever, and then from that. Then you suddenly go to the end, and she's able to do this massive healing on Nynaeve.
yeah,
And again,
exactly.
it's not earned.
It's
Again,
not
it's
a.
not earned.
It's they
And
cheapen the magic when there's not
yeah,
if there's not a struggle or an understanding on how it works. When you lose
but
that,
here's the other point is in the going back to The Witcher, they have this moment in the final episode where one of the mages is able to unleash this incredible power, and even then I felt like, oh, that seems like it's a bit much, but it certainly wasn't as bad because she has gone through all this training, and how powerful she is, and she's this mage is very well trained as well, right? And she has
are you?
but she also has a lot of internal power. They do something similar here in the Wheel of Time, but it feels like I have a problem when there's too much power all at once, right? When we get to the last battle, you're suggesting then that if we have just 5 linked mages, that they can wipe out an army of 10 or 20,000,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And again, you're suggesting that that it is that powerful. I feel like when you use that monumental amount of power, then you don't give yourself anywhere to grow.
Yep.
You're suggesting that someone who is relatively untrained could wreak that kind of destruction, and it just cheapens it. It makes it so that all these men defending this wall barely took out 100 or 200 Trollocs or whatever, right? Before they climbed up and broke in and killed all the men. And then these 5 women are able to take out 20,000. It's like, oh, well, the power can do that. Why do we even bother? And again, the training, to do these monumental things, even just healing someone like, Egwene healing Nynaeve, it just felt, oh, well, okay, that was really easy,
No, it was like this is the problem when you do things without actually gaining an understand without having to work for it. When you can just do stuff, it cheapens the whole experience because it's like saying, "Oh, so that was just going to happen no matter what."
Yeah.
That was just okay. Brian, we're going to have to skip over this. We're going to have to move on, okay?
Okay.
because I've got to go back to Moraine and Lan and that whole first thing where they're going in there. So first off, this whole sequence of events where Moraine is saying to everyone, everyone will die who goes to this place with besides the dragon.
Besides the dragon.
There's nothing in there that says why. There's no like,
Nope.
why? What do you mean? Where are you getting this? Is there a prophecy? Is there something like that? Is this place whatever? I think what they were trying to do is the Eye of the World, where they had the tree man and everything. They took that whole thing out, and they were trying to do something similar, where they're like, okay, well, we're gonna make it to where, this is why not everybody goes to this spot or something. It makes absolutely no sense on what happened there. And she did survive, and I do not understand also her relationship with Lan. It feels like it almost doesn't exist. Like it's not a real thing. Like, where is that bond? Where is that thing that is? They've just like totally changed that, and that's what bothers me, is that they've changed it and cheapened it. It's so it's meaningless.
Well, yeah, and they spent so much time on that one episode with the other warder, and that whole sequence of trying to pull out our heartstrings in compassion for this warder who eventually commits suicide, and it just feels like they're trying to take shortcuts and ineffectively doing so, haphazardly doing so. They're not earning our compassion and our investment in these characters because of the shortcuts they're taking. And they're taking shortcuts with the most crucial elements,
Mm-hmm.
and then spending way too much screen time on things that don't matter and that don't really contribute to the story. It's like they're amateurs doing this, because, and when I say amateurs, yeah, maybe they're filmmakers, but they're amateur storytellers in the medium of film, because they don't get how to use the medium of film to convey a tremendous amount of information in a small snippet and scene and dialogue.
Their idea of cutting things down, what they do, they're cutting down important stuff, and then they're trying to put it in as cheaply as possible. Like what you're saying, the bad part is that if they're going to do that, they should just take it completely out. Just do not have it, because you're forcing it. If I were just watching this for the first time or whatever, I'd be like, oh, they did some cool stuff with their magic system. Oh, okay, that's fine. But that's about as far as I would go with it.
There's some cool sets, and
sets are cool, whatever. But I would not be. Again, I'm not drawn to the characters at all right now. But I would not be like, I've got to see the next episode. I just have got to see it.
I mean, to give them credit, there were some really cool sets, some really cool, like effects, like the Eye of the World was really cool, and the Blight, and all of the landscapes, and I mean, throughout the whole series, the majestic mountains and vistas was great, But as far as the characters, which obviously that's the most important element, right? And not some random lady they meet in a bar, not some random warder who's going to commit suicide. The main characters are the ones you need to invest in. And if you don't mind, I want to skip right to Matt. Can we go to Matt for a sec? Are you okay with that?
Yeah. Go to him.
Okay, so last time we see Matt is the end of episode whatever it was. 6, I guess. And so he's not in episode 7 at all. In the book, he actually does go to the Eye of the World with him. And then we see only one glimpse of him in this episode. And it is still of a darkened, brooding, corrupted Matt. who then leads me to believe, like, wait a second, man, they're talking about dark friends, about some of these people going to the dark. Are they seriously considering doing that with him? Like, this character who is the most beloved character of almost anyone, I mean, many who read the books, is his future is now in question. And again, there's this sense that rather than being this fun character who grows and who is very much in contrast to the Matt of the dagger, is now the dagger was drawn to him because of his inner darkness. So I don't know how they're going to solve that, but I'm not invested. I'm not invested in him. Just because he loves his sisters does not mean that I'm willing to invest in him.
No, there's nothing.
And
That's like
anyway,
it's the Darth Vader complex where he's like, this is one of the worst things in Darth Vader. It's like at the very last second he becomes good, and you're like, so now he's good because he saved his son and he murdered thousands of people and hundreds. Like, is that really what it comes down to, or is that what we're saying? Is that okay, now they're an okay person? Not to say that I don't like those movies or anything, but if you look at episode 3, when George Lucas has him murdering children, maybe we throw a little bit too much weight on that, but to me that's like the most heinous thing ever. Innocent children that could grow up to be good or bad or whatever, and you're murdering them anyway. But that's the idea. Is I don't like that mentality that, oh, okay, we're setting it up to where he could be good at the end or something, So fighting, this is heinous to me, and this is not just me saying, oh, it's okay, it's done okay. This actually is one of the worst things that I see done in film and movies, is when they are doing combat and fighting and things like that. For example, one of the worst fight scenes I've ever seen is in the last Christian Bale Batman movie, The Dark Knight Rises. All the cops, they have this glorious music being played, and all the cops are going to fight all these like thugs and these other people that are firing at them. And they decide, you know what, we're going to make this like super emotional, and we're going to throw this music on it that's just like epic music where everyone's like, oh, we're all going, we're fighting. And all the cops start running towards the people with machine guns firing at them. And for some reason, they're not getting hit. And they're firing, should be mowing them down and they're doing it like with these little hands, it's just idiotic that no one in real life would even contemplate doing anything like that. Not a single person. It wasn't warranted. There was no reason why that would have worked. It shouldn't have. All of them should have just been mowed down and died. And just because you put some awesome soundtrack to it, I remember watching it in the theater and I was just like, what the hell is going on? Why are they trying to make this like the most emotional scene where it's like, this is so awesome? They're doing that when it wasn't earned. It completely wasn't earned. And there was no reason for them to just run out like that. It made no sense whatsoever. So when you have a Trolloc coming in and it pulls back its spear, you do not just stand there and pull out your sword and act like the Trolloc is going to come and take you and it's going to come in and you can swipe at it. Lord Algamar, that's what he did. Pulls out his sword. When someone does that, I don't even know what the hell I'm doing when it comes to fighting. But when I see a spear coming towards me, I wouldn't pull out my weapon and say, okay, throw it at me. You're ready to move out of the way. It's idiotic, especially for someone that is trained in battle and should be awesome. Like, this is what the Borderlanders
Yeah,
do. Okay?
they've
Again,
done a horrible job of making the male fighters have any training or any skill, any
yeah.
battle
So,
sense. Like
battle
these are
sense.
supposed to be men who have fought Trollocs, who fought at the border for a long time,
Thousands of years.
and
That's
going
what they
back
do.
to that is their life. They are warriors, and this is what they do. And you
Right.
cheapen them all by saying, okay, we're going to fire a few crossbow bolts, and then we're going to fall.
Yeah. It
And then
cheapens the whole thing.
these 5 women again take out the whole army.
Okay. So hold on. I
And
need to get
they
to
did
that,
the
Brian.
same thing.
Hold on. Before you
Well,
even go on anymore, I have to say this. You cannot say anymore. Those 5 women, they should have all died. What idiot decided that it was a good idea to have them go out into the middle of this thing, like in the middle of the desert or wherever it is, field where they're all running towards them? Nobody with any battle sense would say that. You would say, nope, get you on top of this tower where they can't hit you, where you can see the whole land, and you're going to be firing
Yep.
fireballs, lightning bolts, whatever it might be that you can do. You are going to be up in those towers where they cannot get to you, and then you're going to be wiping them out. Why would you put them all in the field in front of them? What idiot directing, what idiot writing, what idiotic. Just like they have they don't think battle sense. Again, it's that whole thing where it's like, let's make this emotional, and this is how we're going to make it emotional. And it cheapens the whole thing to where, again, it's idiotic.
I honestly think it's like they've written themselves into a corner, because they're going to get to later episodes, and they're going to have the one power doing this stuff, and we're like, well, why didn't they do more? Because they did this insane amount of damage in the finale of season 1. Why can't the one power just wipe out the entire, everything, And so I think that with going back to the combat, okay, and my comparison to The Witcher, the fight scenes in The Witcher are phenomenal. Okay, they are choreographed incredibly well, and just brutal, and just like taking out guys, and you know that he is a master swordsman. But going back to episode 1, Tam, Rand's father, who is supposed to be a master swordsman, doesn't even kill one Trolloc, before he is taken out, basically, before he is overwhelmed, and it's Rand who kills this one Trolloc. In the book, they had 20 Trollocs. You don't know how many, but they had dozens of Trollocs that attacked their farm, and Tam killed 2 of them immediately. And they fall in the doorway, And then he still escapes the house, and he's wounded, but he escapes the house when tons of Trollocs have come into the house, and he's still able to get out and survive. It's just, again, it cheapens their skill. And I would much rather they had spent their budget on decent choreography and decent, making those fight scenes real, battle sense, than on whatever special effects are making you destroy thousands of Trollocs. This is the theme of this entire series for me, is you didn't earn it. You did not earn everything you're wanting me to swallow and everything you're wanting to portray. You didn't.
Once again, this is where it makes a show okay, where it could be great. Okay.
Yep.
I have so many things that I just had issues with in this one. The healing of Nynaeve, we already went into that a little bit, where she just all of a sudden healed her without doing that. Also, healing someone that's dead, not possible. They go over that in the book many times when Rand tries to heal people that have died. There's a reason why.
Well, and obviously she wasn't dead, right? They're trying to imply that she wasn't dead, but all the other ones were dead. Why wasn't she dead? They had to have some kind of raspy breathing or some other sign that she wasn't dead. Just in that.
Poorly done.
But they didn't. They just poorly done.
Killing Lloyd.
Well, I mean, and obviously, I guess he's not dead, but
maybe
it sure makes it seem like he was.
That whole scene, that whole thing was dumb. Padan Fane character,
So poorly.
Okay, this is it. Okay, the Murdrell, the Murdrell in there, they make them feel like they are. Who cares about them? Like you in the very first
Yes.
book, in the very first one, Murdrell, you know that they're terrifying, and even
Yeah.
throughout it, like
And
people
powerful.
from the Borderlands that deal with Trollocs all the time, when they confront a Murdrell, they're stone, they're frozen. They can't move and they can't do anything, and it's clear. And
Yep.
they're just like they
The
can't fight.
the gaze of the eyeless is fear, right?
Exactly.
And that was one of the things I said. Is like Perrin had no fear. There are two fades in the
Yeah.
room. There are two Murdrell in the room, and I don't know who they cast it. Patton Fane seemed like he was taller than either of those two Murdrell. I mean, it makes it so if he is this thin, cowering, gaunt little man,
Well, he's
then it
not
makes it even
anymore.
more terrifying that he is the one commanding Murdrell, right? And there's no. Apparently, he has the dagger. Did you notice that?
I thought that's what he had when he killed someone with it. I didn't see anybody bubble
Yeah,
up
it's
or
like
anything
it's
like
like
that. I
what?
don't know. It just
How the hell did he
yeah.
get the dagger?
Like they all of a sudden, where did he get it? Where did Rand? Like that whole thing was
How
just
how did
idiotic.
he get into the White Tower to get it?
Yeah,
It's like
it was all
just
poorly done. The
poorly
whole
done.
so, but one of
And
the
again, not
biggest things, one of the biggest things that I don't like about that scene is he afraid of his axe? Because he just walks away and leaves Perrin alive. Why? Really?
well.
Like honestly? Like no, this is
It's almost like
idiotic.
suggesting that, oh, well, you might still turn to the dark, so we're not going to attack you. It's
No,
like, what is this scene?
no.
What is happening?
His whole speech. I've been watching you guys for years. Moraine said that you guys are Taverin.
Again, it's like, okay, you mentioned Taverin in episode 1. You finally explained it in episode 8.
Yeah, the very last episode. Same with the sword. They finally explained the sword in the very last one, and cheaply. Like it just felt like it didn't mean
Yeah.
anything
It's like it's
anyway.
a throwaway. You're throwing away these lines as exposition rather than showing,
Yeah.
rather than having us see, oh, this is what it means to be a Heron Mark's blade bearer. This is what it means to be a Witcher. This is what it means to be Taverin. Don't
Yeah.
explain it. Let us see
Well,
what that means.
whatever it is.
Show us.
As far as like Egwene and Nynaeve and understanding the power, easy enough to have like right off that Egwene, while they're in that place, Moraine is teaching her. She's like saying, "Okay, I'm going to have you set this ward, and this is what you're going to do." Like that's all she had to do
Yep.
before. While she's too weak to do
Yep.
anything, that's all she needed to do.
Yep.
And then when she has Nynaeve, it shows her training Nynaeve. All right, I'm here. This is what you need to do, and then having her focus. Just a brief moment of that, a little like so that every time,
That's
and
great.
then when it comes back to her, she's like training her. That's what Moraine is doing.
It's like you need to have that training. Like they spend a long time in the, and it's really more in book 2 and stuff, where with Lan training Rand to use the sword.
But they pushed that.
And
They
what I'm
pushed so
really,
far
and
ahead.
what,
They should have had him already doing that. They should have had him
yeah,
right from the
I mean, they
start. They said, "Okay, we have these
let me show
Trollocs
you how to
fighting
use
you.
this.
I'm going to teach you guys how not to
Why
kill
didn't they
yourselves."
take that time? Why didn't they take that time?
Yeah.
Instead of spending all this time on these
Yeah.
tertiary characters, really tertiary, not even secondary characters, that
Yeah.
take the time to say, oh, he's training Rand to be a swordmaster. One of my favorite scenes in the book, where Matt he's getting healed, right? And he gets healed and he goes out to the training yard and he has that fight with the staff.
Yep.
You know?
That's one of the greatest.
Some of my favorite scenes they can never do. They can never do in this series because they haven't ever earned it. And if they ever try to put that in, I'm going to be pissed in the series because, number one, you never said that Matt could use a staff. that
Yeah.
he was trained and good at using a staff, So
No.
I'll be pissed either way. I'm pissed that they didn't put it in, and I'll be pissed if they do put it in because they didn't earn it.
I briefly hit on some of the stuff. Like, it's stupid. Like Moraine, when she's walking in the ways, and then she's like, oh, runs into the thing, and then she's like, oh, it smells bad now. That sort of a thing. Aes Sedai, they had complete control over themselves. And she was an elite Aes Sedai. She is not some, she was an elite one, and you could see that throughout the books, even until the very end. She did not break. Her breaking down was her saying, okay, Rand, I'm going to do what you say, that sort of a thing. But beyond that, she was stoic. She was, you know what I'm saying?
Composed,
Composed
regal.
at all times.
Yep.
The whole thing about Aes
time.
Sedai not sweating and that sort of a thing, yeah, it's a trick of the mind. It's not really the one power, but everyone thinks it is. But it's because they are so composed and they control their body.
If you have her composed all the time, it makes it so that those few brief moments when the facade cracks will be so much more powerful and so much more meaningful, because again, you've earned it, and you haven't earned it by having the facade, the cracks come way too frequently. I wanted to say one other thing that just feels like cheapening it again is Rand not really having the power until he uses the sangreal.
That's what it's called.
With the women, I don't know. The whole thing with the finale in book one of the Wheel of Time is that he has this immense power without needing any help.
Yeah.
And when he has something like that, then it's like crazy powerful, But he should have been able to do it all on his own. That's the point. He's the dragon reborn.
Yeah.
He doesn't need this little statue, Sangreal, to do it, because he has the power inside him already.
I even felt in the first book that last battle, and even the second one, was a little. I felt like it was undeserved. Like, Rand not having any training, I cannot handle him being able to do what he did without any training on these, whatever they are. That's the thing that gets me the most. But it's something that you could remedy pretty dang easily. Like with him trying to teach him, if he was trying to teach all of them early on, like if they all had the same dream, they brought the dream in there in one episode, and then they brought it back in the last episode. Those were the only times they had those dreams. It's like, what a stupid way to bring that in. They could have used that more and had it to where in the dream he was training Rand, he was training, working with them, teasing them on how to do it, and like maybe Rand, Perrin, and even Perrin and what's his name, and Matt, maybe all of them actually were able to channel in their dream while he was training them, and then they realized they can't. It's just the dream that was allowing them to do it, something like that.
Interesting. So you're saying having the Dark One training them in the dream?
Yeah. Saying this is what I can give you, this power. Yeah. This is, and that would explain why Rand can actually do something later on and can do that, because he's like, and maybe they're even a little seduced or whatever, and you can see why Matt can feel like he's a little more seduced as well. Whatever. Either way, that's one way around it. Again, it would have to be done perfect or right for me to be happy about it, and I think it could be done that way. I don't like things cheapened. I don't like things just like, oh, this is just the way it is. We get to the end and we win, without being like, okay, so how did we win? Oh, because I just hit this little switch and the person fell down there and they died. No, you are skilled. It's not just this little thing that you do that's an accident. It's you earned it. You work.
So there's this term that a lot of our our 3 viewers will be familiar with, which is Deus Machina, which is from theater, when it's like it's basically this idea that you have the gods come to save everything, in the end, from Greek plays, right? That you've backed everything on a corner, there's no escape, and then the gods come and save everybody. Where you bail the characters out without, and it's not a satisfying ending because it wasn't earned. And I really feel like that was really like that's the story of this rendition of the Wheel of Time.
Mm-hmm.
Is that uh, Rand has the little statue, and so he's able to thwart the Dark One, you know, and these 5 women who have no right to do this are able to destroy this whole army of Trollocs, you know, and it just feels, again, it feels cheapened. Every single aspect feels cheapened and unearned and unsatisfying because you just bailed them all out, and it was like the gods coming to save everybody, you know, because you've got this massive power of the gods, basically, you know, that these characters have, and it's not warranted, it's not earned. In every single respect, I just look at every single character, every single relationship, every single battle, and I just feel like you didn't earn it. You steamrolled the story to get to the end, and it was not satisfying because the journey became cheapened, you know, the journey to get there. It's the journey, the struggle of the journey of getting skilled that makes it so that this ending, when you use the skill, is satisfying. And it's
Exactly. So one more thing, when Min sees Nynaeve die, you know, she sees it in the vision, you see her dying. You see like 10 minutes earlier, oh, she's gonna die. Okay. Oh, she died in this one. Okay. And then we're gonna revive her in this one as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just like made that, like, why would you show that? It just cheapened the whole thing, and it made it pointless for you to show it because it didn't build up anything. Like, if they showed
well,
it
you
in
know
the
what's interesting is
yeah.
what's
Anyway.
interesting is that the whole thing with Lan and Nynaeve having a relationship already, you know,
Yeah.
having this love already,
I
it
love
actually
you.
not only cheapens their relationship, in my opinion, but it also cheapens Lan's relationship with Moraine. I think that we're just in agreement that it's fine. It's got some cool special effects. It's got some cool scenes. It's got some, you know, it's got some decent moments, but overall, just completely unsatisfying and
I don't know
just
if I
feeling
can
cheapened and unearned.
I don't know if I can actually watch the second season.
And even that final
No,
moment,
I
okay, the
don't think I
Sean
can.
Chan arrive, right? The
Oh,
Sean
this is
Chan arrive,
say what you're gonna say.
okay, and there's one little girl on the beach, but let's make a tidal wave.
Dang it, you
Because
took it from me. I was going to say that. This is another one of those tactics, the battle tactics that just need to make sense.
what?
What? Who is going to see that? And who are you doing this wave for? Because there's no city that you can see above. Maybe there's a town somewhere, but there is nothing
I mean,
there.
it might have
There's
been
no
something
reason.
if they panned out and showed cities, you
Yeah.
know, and showed some settlements or something. Maybe that would have been something. But
Like an
it just feels
idiotic
like,
shot.
what is the purpose of this?
And
Like,
that
you're
everything about
showing.
that. No, everything about it. Yeah, exactly. That was so idiotic. And the long pan that like it showed him zooming in to the beach. It was so long, and I was just like, why is this taking so long to get to this? Why didn't they just show her on the beach and then show that, you know, that whole pan in? It was just like trying to be, I don't know what it was, but you took like valuable seconds that were not needed for this
Exactly.
shot.
That's
That
like the
were,
story
it
of
was
the whole series. Valuable seconds or even valuable minutes that are spent on unnecessary shit.
It's
And that need to be put towards more crucial moments.
yeah, like I say, so they spent we'll just say they had 8 hours or something close to it for doing this first book.
Sure.
And the Lord of the Rings had 6 hours to do their whole 3 books.
Well, Well, but probably closer to 7 or 8 for the whole 3 books, right?
Sure,
Because
whatever.
the movies
But
are
I'm
like
just
2.5
saying,
hours long, right?
but with it, like I'm just saying, like just looking at it, if you have this awesome, if you have all this time, you have 8 hours. What are we going to do in those 8 hours? How are we going to get this? What did they
Yeah.
do to waste all that time? What did they do to
Yeah.
like just
So
waste
much wasted time.
on so much stuff? I'm sure that Loyal's not dead. However, if he, yeah, no, it's just dumb. The
So
Murderl
so
leaving.
so here's the thing. Yeah. So last thing I want to say is that I am all for, I'm not against changing the book. I am not such a purist that I don't, and I've said this before, but they're two different mediums. They're film and the written word are two completely different mediums, and you have to approach them differently. But what they failed to do was to utilize the medium of film in the most effective manner, because they could have definitely condensed that whole first book into 8 hours and had it satisfying and had it still feel like a journey, still feel like you had earned all of those moments, and not spend inordinate amount of time on unnecessary stuff. Just focus on the characters, focus on their journey, on their earning the right to participate in the final battles and scenes and interactions in the end of the book. And they
Yeah.
didn't do that.
I think we're done here. There's
I think so too.
maybe if there's another season, I'm sure there will be. I don't think that I can. I don't know if I can watch it.
Yeah.
I will have to like forget
I
about
mean,
this one, and maybe I'm gonna cry.
if we get enough followers and viewers of this, and they want us to review it, then we can maybe do it for that. But for myself, I do not feel like I want to support any further this creator and this team that is making this, because I do not feel like they deserve my view, because they certainly haven't got my vote. So.
If I could, if it were my account for Amazon, I might just cancel my Amazon membership. But it's not. It's my wife's account. Okay. But it's one of those things where I'm just like, you know what? It's just like, seriously, like that last scene, like going out. It was one of those things where it's like, oh, this is gonna be so epic, and then you look at it and you're like, well, wait a second. Well, they're doing a tidal wave on a little girl? That's epic? Is that really? Like, there's no city. Like, maybe they're gonna at the end they're gonna be like, oh yeah, that was kind of stupid. Let's make the opening be a tidal wave hitting the city now. It's like, whatever. It's dumb. Poorly done. Poorly done. I'd say it's okay. It's like, this is what I feel like it is. I feel like it's a teen show, like made for like teens with sex in it and nudity.
Well,
like it's something made for like 12-year-olds, where those sorts of things don't really matter so much. When I was a 12-year-old, it mattered actually. But for other 12-year-olds, those things don't matter so much. But we have nudity and stuff in here.
Despite the awesomeness of the sets and setting and features of the world, it was cheap.
I disappointed.
Okay, well, we'll have
guys,
something more to complain about.
Thumbs down. We're at the end of this, so we're gonna say we give it like 4 thumbs up or 3 thumbs up or whatever it is. I think we should give it a rating. I'm gonna say 4 thumbs down.
Yep, my thumbs are down.
4 thumbs down.
I cannot even give it a half a thumb.
No,
like a medium, because it's just because of what it had, the potential that it had, and the potential that was already present in the books. And the books they're not perfect, like you said. They still have issues and failings, but the journey is earned in the books, and the journey was just glossed over or shoved aside or focused on somebody else's journey in this.
So
and
in order for that, they would have had to at least have 2 episodes where I would have been like, yeah, that was pretty good. That was done well. But they didn't have any of that. They didn't have 2 episodes, so I can't give them a thumbs up at all. Because judging on the whole thing, like, we have 8 episodes. We have 4 thumbs. Where does that slide? How would we give them a thing? They'd have to have at least 2 episodes that were like, hey, that's a thumbs up. We got it good. That's good.
If those of you who enjoy it and can see all of the wonderful things in it, please let us know. Like, what are your valid arguments, your reasoned and very, like, supported reasons for liking it, for giving it thumbs up?
If you
We would
can
love to
tell
hear.
me, if you can tell us exactly why you think a tidal wave for a little girl is awesome, and where that was necessary, and if you can tell us where you think that you honestly believe in a battle where you have creatures coming at you and everyone, that you run out to meet them, just 5 people, and then you're like, I'm going to do some magic now. You tell me where that's logical. Where in the book, there's not a single bit like that. It was written well to where it's
They,
like, nope,
they
we are
didn't even
being
have the
sent.
Trollocs attack in the book. Like, they didn't even have that
No,
horde
but
of
in
Trollocs
their
attack.
battles, they did
But
start attacking, but nobody ran out onto the field like that.
yeah,
They,
but what I'm trying to say is that the only reason they did it is because they had the battle with the Trollocs in episode 1, and they said, "Oh, we got to up that. We got to have that bigger. So now they'll attack a city and we'll save the city." Like, just unearned. So
the
anyway,
whole
we're
thing was
signing off.
unearned. Right. Thanks for
Okay,
joining us for the Wheel of Time. But really,
just not the real Wheel of Time. Okay,
bye.
bye now.
I woke up today and like 4 this morning. Oh, why am I telling you this? This is horrible. Oh yeah, because this is my journal. This is my journal, that's why. I'm sending it to you guys so that you can listen to what goes on in my life. This is all personal stuff.